Welcome back to America's Retirement Headquarters, the home of the Retirement Guys formula and America's Medicare Associates with Scott Kerschner and Dave Ross. 419-794-3030 is the phone number. It's 419-794-3030. The website, arhq.com. You know, dealing with dementia in the family is difficult enough, but there are also legal considerations. Case in point, former Tonight Show host Jay Leno was recently granted a conservatorship of his wife Mavis's estate because of her condition. Both of them are in their 70s, and NBC News correspondent Vicki Nguyen says families in similar circumstances can prepare with proper estate planning.
It's a legal process. Now you have to file a petition with the courts, and it's cumbersome. And so experts we talk to say you really want to consider estate planning. You don't want to wait until you've been incapacitated because of old age or illness. No one wants to have this conversation, but we have to think life is fragile. It doesn't take a dementia diagnosis for things to be upended, right? So if you have this conversation ahead of time, you're saving your loved ones a lot of heartache during what would be a tough time anyway, and potentially fighting with the family. Otherwise, it's all left up to the courts if you don't prepare, right? It goes through the laws in your state, and the courts decide who makes these decisions for you.
Now, we often talk about the getting to, through, and beyond retirement. Estate planning is a portion of that beyond retirement. Explain what the first steps are in the estate planning process with you guys, and when should that actually begin?
Well, this is a tough one. I just want to throw out to all of our listeners, we do a lot of events here. I'm actually going to be hosting an event. It's not actually up on our website yet, but we have a lot of our events up on the website. But we're going to be hosting an event for caregivers. We're looking the end of June time frame for that. But basically what we want to do is, make people aware of what hurdles you have to overcome when you're dealing with someone that is going through, whether it's dementia or just the day-to-day caregiving. I opened the show saying that I spent the good part of the weekend in the hospital, taking care of Mom and letting the doctors and nurses take care of her. And I am that person, so this is very near and dear to my heart because I am that person that is the caregiver, so I've got a lot of advice and stories for people. The first steps, the first steps and when should you do it is probably as soon as possible. You don't need to be a certain age to put a estate plan together. Nolan and I have actually co-written the Ultimate Estate Planning Guide. And basically what we do with that is, most people will meet with an attorney, and the attorney has these cookie cutter templates for estate planning that you fill out, and it's got your standard stuff in there. It's got your beneficiaries. It's got a list of all of your accounts. It's got all of the standard traditional things in a estate plan. We took it a step further, and going through this with when my dad passed away and taking care of things for my mom, we added some topics in there about, cell phone. If the one spouse that passes away is the primary bill-paying person or has all of the accounts set up, if you don't know the cell phone passwords, if you don't know the account secret codes and all of those type of things, you can't get into anything, and they will not tell that surviving spouse any of that information. So we've added in our Ultimate Estate Planning Guide a section where we list all of those pertinent things you need. If you're moving into a new town, if you go to your local Chamber of Commerce, they'll have a printout. Most of them have a printout of the local garbage refuge place that you contact to set that up, your utilities, the phone numbers, and things like that. Well, we've kind of integrated that into the Ultimate Estate Planning Guide. So there is no certain age when you have to set these up. The sooner you get it put in place, that's one thing you can check off of that list of things that you need to be prepared for. As far as putting documents together for people dealing with dementia and the survivors or the people taking care of it, like Jay Leno, the conservatorship is very, very important. And, we can assist you with all of that. If anybody listening today would like a copy of our Ultimate Estate Planning Guide, we offer that to everybody and anybody for no charge at all. We're happy to send that out if you reach, either email us or reach out to us through the website or call the office. We'll be happy to get that put in place for you and just get something in the mail to you. These are things that are very important. Dealing with someone with dementia or dealing with someone that has some health issues where you're the caregiver, you have a tremendous amount of responsibility there, and it's very traumatic. It's a situation where you have to see your loved one at their worst periods in time of their life. And, a lot of times I come across families, multiple family, siblings in that. And a lot of times I hear the stories where, well, I'm not getting a whole lot of help from my brother or my sister or this, that, or the other. And they're the only ones that are going in alone. So, this is kind of a difficult topic to talk about because it's so near and dear to my heart. But Dave, what can you add when it comes to dealing with estate planning and the whens and the whys?
Well, I think everybody better have a health care power of attorney in place and a durable power of attorney. Health care is important because, you know what, my wife and I actually talked about this a couple weeks ago. I don't want to be on life support.
Right.
If I'm not there as the Dave Ross that my wife knows, then I don't want our life savings to get taken up by paying for life support. But it's more than just speaking to your spouse, or you have to make it official. And by having that health care and durable power of attorneys, you're going to have that. And then there's no discussion about it. There's no emotions about the kids saying, oh, no, we want to keep Dad going. No, make your wishes known. Make sure other people know what your wishes are. It's simple things, making sure your beneficiaries are up to date and accurate. With so many marriages ending in divorce, sometimes accounts don't get switched to spouse number two. And you gotta look at all of that. Ownership issues. Sometimes it makes sense if the other spouse owns something versus, my wife owns most things because she's a lot younger than I am.
Sure.
So being comprehensive, but also dealing with the topics that are important. I lost both my parents suddenly. And I thought, woe is me, woe is me. And now that I have friends and family members that have been caregivers for people that have dementia and Parkinson's and all kinds of terrible diseases, I think, boy, maybe I shouldn't have been woe is me. That's kind of the way I would like to go. I'd like to just check out. But I wouldn't want to do it without making sure all my T's are crossed and I have all the documents that I need.
I've for 30 years I've been in the business. I've sold life insurance and health insurance and annuities, and I've passed out some pretty hefty checks on some life insurance claims. I've got countless stories, and I won't go through obviously any of those because we just don't have the time to do that. But I had a client sitting in my office, and he said the same thing. He said, actually, believe it or not, it's the same client I've been talking about in a couple of segments here. He said, I don't want to live that long if my quality of life isn't there. Now, we don't have a whole lot to say about that, but like you said, Dave, if you don't have the proper things put in place, you're at the mercy of what other people are going to do for you. I do have one situation where a guy was 69 years old. He was working at Chrysler, and he had a heart attack ran off the road, and he was actually he was actually technically dead for 45 minutes. They brought him back. And the unfortunate thing with that for him is it caused some brain issues with having loss of oxygen for that long. And he's currently in a rehab facility, and this situation is horrible because they didn't have anything put in place. They hadn't, we've talked about long-term care insurance and things like that, and he definitely will go into a long-term care facility. And unfortunately, what's going to happen is they're going to have to exhaust all of his resources before they'll, any assistance will kick in. And the wife is just beside herself. I've been working very closely with her, trying to help her out with that. And, it's an unfortunate situation, but it's a case where they did not have the proper things put in place to take care of unforeseen situations like this. So there again, when you're looking at estate planning, make sure you take the first steps, and you can do that at any time. Get a copy of our Ultimate Estate Planning Guide. That doesn't mean you're signing up for anything, but what it does mean is you're taking the first steps to actually prepare for the unforeseen things that might happen. And then from there, we can sit down and go through and make sure that review that plan and make sure that the beneficiaries are up to date and make sure that all of the accounts are in proper order to help you mitigate any issues that you're going to have in the future.
As the saying goes, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And we understand that it is not the most pleasant conversation to have, but if it does prevent more uncomfortable conversations happening down the line because of a lack of planning, what do we do now? How are we going to make this work? I dare say it is something worth doing ahead of time, while you still can. Go ahead and take that preventative measure. Get a copy of the Ultimate Estate Planning Guide. Reach out to the team, arhq.com's website, 419-794-3030. Whether it is, talking about the estate planning or any other facet of your retirement, the team is available and ready and willing to help you out with that. Again, 419-794-3030. Want to thank you, as we always do, for joining us here on America's Retirement Headquarters with Scott Kerschner and Dave Ross. Really do appreciate you taking the time. Hope you have a great week ahead of you. Hope you get to enjoy some of this nice weather you've got out there. Guys, appreciate your time as always. And as we wrap up, want to leave you with the final word.
Well, I want to thank you, Dave, and thank you, Chris, for helping with the show today. I really appreciate it. There again, visit our website, arhq.com. We've got all of our events listed there. We've got a couple events coming up June 4th and June 6th for Medicare. Those people that are turning 65 in the, from the 1st of June through the end of the year. This event is perfect for you. We've got several events out there, so visit our website. And once again, thank you for listening. Here we are at America's Retirement Headquarters.